In our everyday lives, have you ever wondered if God is offering you opportunities that you might not be recognizing? Perhaps you found yourself caught up in the rush of daily routines, managing work, family, or personal challenges, and you haven't paused to consider the quiet, subtle ways God may be guiding you. It's easy to overlook the opportunities God presents because they often don't appear as grand, life-changing events. Instead, they can come in the form of small signals, unexpected encounters, or even the challenges we face. So how do we recognize these divine opportunities in the midst of our busy lives? Opportunities from God don't always come wrapped in the form of dramatic signs or miraculous events. Often they show up in our daily lives as small, seemingly insignificant moments or through situations that test our patience, faith, and character. These moments may seem like ordinary events, but with faith and awareness, we can see them as gifts from God, moments that invite us to grow spiritually, serve others, or make a positive change in our lives. For example, you may encounter someone who needs help face a difficult decision that calls for integrity, or receive a challenge that tests your patience. These opportunities may not feel significant at first, but they are moments where God is offering you a chance to grow, serve, and live out your faith in meaningful ways. Recognizing these opportunities requires intentionality and a mindset open to God's guidance no matter how small the prompt. In this video, we'll explore how to recognize God-given opportunities in our daily lives and, more importantly, how we can embrace and use these opportunities for personal growth and serving others. We'll talk about how to develop a mindset of awareness that helps you spot these divine moments in the ordinary, and how to respond in a way that honors God's will. Whether it's in a small act of kindness, a chance to show love, or a decision that reflects your faith, these opportunities are all around us. By the end of this video, you'll have a better understanding of how to not only recognize these opportunities, but also how to use them to transform your life and the lives of those around you. If you found this video meaningful and believe it could help others in recognizing the divine opportunities in their lives, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who might benefit from this message. Together, let's open our hearts to the small yet significant ways God is working in our lives every day. We often think of opportunities from God as grand, life-changing moments, like a dramatic personal transformation, a miraculous intervention, or a sudden revelation. But the reality is that God's opportunities may not always come as striking or dramatic events. Instead, they are often found in the small everyday moments of life. These moments might seem ordinary or even insignificant, but when we recognize them as divine opportunities, they can lead to profound growth, deeper relationships, and a stronger connection to God's will for our lives. God's opportunities can appear through the simplest of interactions or situations: a random conversation with a stranger, a chance encounter with an old friend, an unexpected invitation to serve, or an opportunity to respond with kindness or patience in a challenging situation. These moments, while seemingly ordinary, are often the avenues through which God speaks to us and invites us to act in alignment with His will. Opportunities from God are not confined to the big milestones, but are interwoven into our daily lives, waiting to be recognized and embraced. For example, consider a day when you're walking in your neighborhood and you encounter a neighbor you don't know very well. You might be rushing to get somewhere or preoccupied with your thoughts, but instead of rushing past, you take a moment to stop and chat. In this simple conversation, you might learn that your neighbor is going through a difficult time, maybe a health issue, a family struggle, or a personal loss. While it may seem like an ordinary exchange, this could be God's way of providing you with an opportunity to offer support, encouragement, or even just a listening ear. By engaging in this conversation, you become a vessel for God's love and compassion, making a real difference in someone's life. Another example is a situation at work where things aren't going well. Perhaps a project is delayed or a colleague is frustrated. God may present an opportunity for you to demonstrate patience, understanding, and humility in the face of difficulty. Rather than reacting out of frustration or defensiveness, you can choose to act in a way that reflects the love and peace that God desires for you to share. This small opportunity to practice grace under pressure is a chance to live out your faith, demonstrating to those around you what it looks like to respond with wisdom, compassion, and integrity. Even in challenging situations, such as when you face personal struggles or setbacks, God may present opportunities to grow spiritually. These trials can be seen as moments for strengthening your faith, learning perseverance, and deepening your trust in God's plan. What appears to be a difficult situation may in fact be a moment for spiritual transformation, teaching you patience, resilience, and reliance on God's grace. It's easy to overlook these small everyday situations as just another part of life. But when we open our eyes to them, we begin to recognize how much God is present in the smallest details of our lives. These opportunities are not always loud or obvious, but with the right perspective, we can see them as invitations to serve, grow, and act in a way that honors God. The ability to recognize God's opportunities in our daily lives is directly connected to the strength of our faith. The more we strengthen and nurture our faith, the more attuned we become to God's voice and His guidance. In a world that is filled with distractions, faith serves as the lens through which we can see the divine opportunities that surround us. Faith gives us the confidence to believe that God is actively involved in our lives, and that His presence is not confined to moments of crisis or decision, but extends to the ordinary everyday moments. When our faith is strong, we develop a deeper awareness of God's presence in all things, including the small opportunities that may seem insignificant at first glance. This heightened awareness allows us to recognize that every action, thought, and challenge is an opportunity for spiritual growth and for fulfilling God's will. As we walk through life with eyes and hearts open to God's guidance, we begin to see that He is speaking to us in the seemingly ordinary situations of our day. For example, consider a time when you feel frustrated or overwhelmed by a situation like a difficult task at work or a personal relationship issue. With a strong faith foundation, you can approach this situation with the belief that God is working through it, either teaching you patience, building your character, or providing a chance to extend grace and forgiveness. Recognizing this as a divine opportunity allows you to act in a way that reflects God's will, rather than simply reacting out of frustration or anxiety. Moreover, faith allows us to trust that every opportunity, no matter how small, is part of a larger divine plan. It helps us to embrace uncertainty with the confidence that God is in control, guiding us step by step. When our hearts are rooted in faith, we no longer view opportunities as burdens or challenges, but as divine invitations to grow, serve, and fulfill our purpose. One of the most powerful tools for recognizing God-given opportunities in our daily lives is prayer. Through prayer, we open our hearts to God, seeking His guidance and asking for the wisdom to see His presence in everything. Prayer is not just about asking for things, but also about listening for God's voice and the subtle ways in which He speaks to us throughout the day. In the stillness of prayer, we create space to connect with God on a deeper level, allowing Him to reveal the opportunities that may be hidden in our busy lives. For instance, taking a few moments each day to pause and pray can help us clear our minds and become more receptive to the opportunities God places before us. Prayer allows us to slow down and refocus our priorities, reminding us that life is not just about achieving goals or accumulating possessions, but about following God's lead in everything we do. Stillness or moments of quiet reflection can also help us tune into the subtle whispers of God's guidance. In a world that often feels noisy and chaotic, it can be difficult to hear the small, gentle prompts that God sends our way. But when we carve out moments of stillness, whether through meditation, nature walks, or quiet reflection, we can become more attuned to His voice. Stillness helps us clear the mental clutter, allowing us to recognize when an opportunity is presented to us. When we pray and seek stillness, we invite God to work in our hearts, guiding us to see His hand in every aspect of our lives. We begin to realize that God is speaking to us all the time through our interactions with others, the challenges we face, and the moments of quiet reflection. Through prayer and stillness, we can cultivate the awareness needed to recognize these opportunities and embrace them with faith and trust. In summary, Opportunities from God can come in many forms, often appearing as small, everyday moments or challenges that invite us to act with faith and integrity. These opportunities are not always obvious, but when we strengthen our faith and cultivate awareness through prayer and stillness, we begin to recognize them as divine invitations to grow spiritually, serve others, and fulfill God's will. As we walk through life with our hearts open to His guidance, we see that God's opportunities are all around us in every conversation, every decision, and every challenge. By embracing these opportunities, we align our lives with God's plan and experience deeper fulfillment and peace. One of the fundamental ways God communicates with us is through subtle signals that we might not always recognize right away. God doesn't always send clear, audible messages. Instead, He often speaks to us through our hearts, minds, and circumstances. These signals can appear as quiet nudges from within a moment of clarity or a feeling of peace about a decision. To recognize these opportunities, we must learn to listen to our inner voice and pay attention to our emotions, because they can be the medium through which God directs us. For example, have you ever experienced a gut feeling that led you to make a decision even though it didn't seem like the most logical one at the time? Or perhaps you've had moments when you felt a strong urge to help someone without fully understanding why, but realizing later that your act of kindness made a significant difference. These could very well be signals from God prompting you to act according to His will. Learning to distinguish these inner promptings from mere emotions or impulses is a key step in recognizing God's guidance. Another way God communicates with us is through coincidental events, moments where something unexpectedly aligns in a way that we cannot ignore. You might bump into an old friend at just the right moment when you're in need of advice or support. Perhaps a conversation with a stranger leads to a job opportunity or a partnership that you had not anticipated. While these might seem like random occurrences, they could actually be divine interventions. The key to recognizing these opportunities is awareness. Instead of dismissing these moments as coincidences, we must remain open to the possibility that God is at work behind the scenes. It's also important to recognize that sometimes God sends opportunities through difficulties or challenges. Life is full of tests, whether they are financial struggles, health issues, or personal dilemmas. While it's natural to want to avoid these challenges, they often serve as platforms for God to reveal His will and guide us toward a growth. How we respond to these situations can determine whether we see them as opportunities or obstacles. For example, a financial setback might be a chance for God to teach us about trusting Him for provision and to reassess our relationship with money. A health crisis may prompt us to reflect on the importance of physical and spiritual well-being, and even open our hearts to deeper compassion for others who are suffering. While we may not always understand why we face certain difficulties, these challenges often lead to spiritual growth and clarity about God's plan for our lives. In these instances, patience and faith are essential. We must believe that even when things are difficult, God is working in ways we cannot immediately see. The challenge itself may be the opportunity we need to grow closer to God and to gain wisdom or insight that wouldn't have been possible otherwise. Another powerful way that God sends opportunities into our lives is through the community and people around us. God does not call us to live in isolation. Instead, He often uses the relationships and networks we are part of to guide us and provide opportunities for service, growth, and support. The people around us can be God's instruments for both guidance and revelation. Often opportunities are presented through conversations, encounters, or advice from others in our lives. These individuals, whether family, friends, co-workers, or even strangers, can play a pivotal role in opening our eyes to divine opportunities that we might have otherwise missed. For instance, you might be going through a tough time feeling lost or uncertain when someone in your church or faith community shares a word of encouragement that resonates deeply with your situation. That moment of support might give you the clarity to make a decision you've been struggling with. In this case, the support of a friend or fellow believer was not just a random act of kindness, but a God-given opportunity for you to align more closely with His will. A significant way in which community offers divine opportunities is through advice and counsel. We often find ourselves in need of guidance, whether it's in our personal lives or in our careers. God may provide that counsel through someone who shares their wisdom with us, offering a perspective we hadn't considered. For example, a mentor in your life may suggest a path forward in your career, and through their insight you might discover a new purpose or calling that God has been nudging you toward. This guidance is especially important because we often struggle to see opportunities in isolation. When we're caught up in our own thoughts and worries, it can be difficult to recognise the broader picture. That's why community plays such an important role in helping us see beyond our own limitations. People who care about us and share our faith can help us discern whether an opportunity aligns with God's will, or if it's something we should approach differently. Moreover, God's opportunities often come through the people we meet and interact with. Perhaps you've met someone by chance, a person who later becomes a close friend, a business partner, or someone who needs your help. These meetings may seem random, but they may be God's way of connecting you with others who need you, or who have something to offer you. Recognizing the value in these relationships can open the door to countless opportunities for personal and spiritual growth. One of the most beautiful aspects of the Christian community is that it is designed to be a vessel for God's work in the world. The body of Christ functions together, each person contributing their unique gifts and talents to meet the needs of others. Through the collective strength and wisdom of the community, God orchestrates opportunities for service, growth, and transformation. The more involved we are in our faith community, the more we open ourselves to the opportunities that God places through others. Whether it's a small act of kindness, a shared prayer, or an invitation to serve, these interactions can be the stepping stones that lead to the larger opportunities God has in store for us. Embracing community not only enhances our own spiritual journey, but also allows us to be the hands and feet of Christ in the lives of others, creating a ripple effect of divine opportunities. There are countless examples of how opportunities can arise through people in our lives. One common scenario is when a friend or colleague invites us to join a community service project or a church event. At first, it may seem like just another task or obligation, but by saying yes, we open ourselves up to new relationships, new experiences, and potentially new purposes God is calling us to. In this way, community becomes a conduit for divine opportunity, bringing us into contact with others who can help us grow or who need our support. Consider the story of Ruth in the Bible, who found favor through her relationships within her community. Ruth's decision to stay with her mother-in-law Naomi led her to meet Boaz, whose kindness and generosity became a significant part of God's plan for her life. Ruth's commitment to family and her willingness to serve alongside Naomi's wisdom and guidance helped her recognize the opportunity God placed before her. Through the community, she was part of God provided for her future in ways she couldn't have predicted. Similarly, in the New Testament, Paul often wrote to the early Christian communities, offering guidance and encouragement. His letters are full of advice for how the church should live together, serve one another, and encourage each other. Through these communities, many early believers found spiritual and practical opportunities to serve God, spread the gospel, and grow in faith. In conclusion, recognizing opportunities from God requires a shift in mindset. God's opportunities don't always come in dramatic or obvious ways. Often they arrive as quiet signals, random events, or through the people in our lives. By listening to our hearts, paying attention to subtle circumstances, and engaging with our faith community, we can begin to see that every moment is an opportunity for God to work through us. When we open our hearts and minds to His guidance, we discover that God is at work in the ordinary moments, using the people and experiences around us to shape our lives. Through faith and community, we begin to recognize the divine opportunities in our lives and respond in a way that fulfills God's greater plan for us. Recognizing opportunities from God is just the first step. The real challenge, and often the most rewarding part, is learning how to embrace these opportunities when they appear. While it may be easy to acknowledge an opportunity, acting on it can require a great deal of courage, patience, and faithfulness to our values and beliefs. God does not just want us to recognize the gifts He provides. He calls us to step out in faith and actively seize those opportunities, even when they feel uncertain or challenging. Embracing an opportunity, particularly when it's from God, often calls us to step outside our comfort zone. Whether it's responding to someone in need, offering help in an unexpected way, or making a difficult decision, these moments often require courage. The courage to act when we're unsure, the courage to trust God's plan, and the courage to do something that might not align with conventional expectations. For example, consider someone who feels called to leave a stable job to pursue a career in ministry or to dedicate their time to a cause. On the surface, this might seem like a risk, but for that person it's as an opportunity from God to live out a higher calling. Embracing this opportunity requires faith and trust in God's provision, knowing that He will provide the strength, the resources, and the support necessary to fulfill His purpose. The courage to act is also reflected in the small everyday opportunities we face. For instance, stepping in to help a colleague who's struggling at work, or choosing to listen attentively to a friend who needs emotional support. These opportunities might seem insignificant in the moment, but they are divine invitations to show love, compassion, and humility. Embracing these seemingly small acts can have a profound impact on both the giver and the recipient, and transforming lives in ways we may not immediately see. In real life, embracing God's opportunities has often led to life-changing decisions that completely transform our paths. One such example is Mother Teresa. She could have lived a comfortable life in her homeland, but she embraced the opportunity to serve the poor in Calcutta. Her choice to step out in faith away from the comforts of her own life was not without its challenges, but through this she changed countless lives. Her story illustrates how embracing God's call, even when it seems daunting or uncertain, leads to something profoundly impactful, not just for ourselves, but for those around us. Similarly, there are many who have embraced career shifts to pursue greater purposes. People who have chosen to serve in mission fields, become social workers, or start non-profit organizations have made decisions based on faith, with the understanding that their work would serve others in a way that aligns with God's will for their lives. These opportunities often require courage to step into the unknown, but through their faith, they trust that God will guide them and provide for them in ways they cannot fully understand at the time. On a more personal level, embracing God's opportunities often manifests in simple yet impactful ways. For instance, someone who feels led to give up their free time to mentor a troubled youth might not see the immediate results, but the impact on that young person's life can be immense. These small actions, rooted in faith, often ripple out and lead to greater transformation both for the individual and the community. When we embrace God's opportunities, we are choosing to live according to His will rather than our own desires or comfort. We trust that He is working through us even in the smallest of actions, and that these actions can have a lasting and significant impact on the world around us. Embracing these opportunities helps us align our lives with God's purpose and make a difference in the lives of others. One of the most powerful ways we demonstrate our faith is through action. Faith is not just about believing, it's about putting that belief into practice in tangible ways. Acting on the opportunities that God places before us is how we show that we trust Him and how we step into the roles He has prepared for us. When we act according to God's guidance, we invite Him into our decision-making process. This means that we don't simply rely on our own understanding or knowledge, but we seek to align our actions with what we believe to be His will. This can sometimes involve difficult choices that require sacrifice, whether it's sacrificing time, resources, or comfort. But acting on God's guidance always brings us closer to His plan for our lives. For example, God may place someone in need on our path, whether it's a neighbor going through a tough time or a colleague in crisis. God is offering us the opportunity to act, to show compassion, generosity, and kindness. Responding to this opportunity requires not just awareness, but also the courage to act. By stepping into these opportunities, we align our actions with God's love, and we allow His light to shine through us. Acting according to God's guidance also means that we must be willing to take risks for the sake of His kingdom. For instance, leaving a secure job to follow a calling to ministry or missions might seem risky from a worldly perspective. But when we act in accordance with God's will, we step into a more meaningful life, one that has eternal significance. Our actions reflect our faith, and those actions can open doors to new opportunities and pathways that we never expected. Embracing opportunities and acting on God's guidance is not always easy. Perseverance is essential. Faith and action require steadfastness, a willingness to continue even when the journey is long or challenging. God's opportunities often require us to step out in faith without seeing the full picture or understanding the outcome. But perseverance in our faith and actions ensures that we remain grounded in God's purpose no matter the difficulties we face along the way. Take the example of Abraham. When God called him to leave his homeland and journey to an unknown land, he didn't know where he was going or what the future would hold. But his steadfast faith and willingness to act in obedience to God led to great blessings. Abraham didn't see the full fulfillment of God's promises in his lifetime, but his faith and actions paved the way for generations to come. His story reminds us that God's plan unfolds over time, and sometimes the opportunities he provides are seeds that will grow and bear fruit long after we've acted on them. Similarly, Joseph in the Bible faced tremendous hardship, being sold into slavery, imprisoned falsely, and separated from his family. Yet through his faith and perseverance, God used Joseph's challenges as opportunities to prepare him for a position of leadership. Joseph's unwavering faith allowed him to see the opportunities in the midst of difficulty, and he trusted that God would use every experience for his greater good. In our own lives, perseverance in faith and action can help us push through the trials and uncertainties that arise. Whether we are working to build a family, establish a career, or serve others, steadfastness ensures that we remain true to God's will, even when we don't see immediate results. Perseverance transforms our difficulties into opportunities for spiritual growth and deeper dependence on God. As we continue to embrace God's opportunities, perseverance and action become key elements in unlocking even greater opportunities that God has prepared for us. Every opportunity we step into, no matter how small or challenging, builds our faith and strengthens our trust in God. With each act of obedience, we become more equipped to handle the greater opportunities God will give us in the future. For example, starting with small acts of service or kindness builds our spiritual muscles, preparing us to take on larger responsibilities when God calls us to them. The act of faithful action in one area of our lives can open doors to greater influence, deeper relationships, and more opportunities for God to work through us. Our willingness to act in faith today sets the stage for greater kingdom work tomorrow. In conclusion, the process of embracing and utilizing God's opportunities is a lifelong journey of faithful action. Each opportunity we embrace, whether large or small, has the potential to change our lives and the lives of others. By connecting with God through action, persevering in faith, and trusting that His plan is always greater than our own, we open the door to greater opportunities that lead to a deeper relationship with God and a more purposeful life. Recognizing opportunities from God in our daily lives is not a difficult task. It's about paying attention, listening, and embracing the small signals He sends our way. Often God's guidance doesn't come in dramatic, life-changing moments, but in subtle, everyday encounters and challenges. When we live with faith, we can recognize these opportunities and use them not just for personal growth, but also to honor God and serve our communities. Each small action or decision can have a profound impact when we act with a heart open to His will. God is constantly providing us with moments to live out our faith and make a difference if only we are willing to notice and embrace them. As you reflect on your own life, think about the opportunities God may have already placed in your daily experiences. It's easy to overlook the small moments when we are caught up in the rush of life, but these are often the moments that matter most. Start by noticing the small moments: a conversation with a neighbor, a challenge at work, an unexpected need from a friend, and see how God may be inviting you to step in, offer, help, or share love. Let faith guide you toward each opportunity. Trust that God is using every moment to shape you, and that even the smallest act of kindness, patience, or love can make a profound difference in someone's life and in your own. Take a moment today to ask God to open your eyes to the opportunities around you and commit to acting on them with faith and purpose. If you found this video meaningful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who could benefit from recognizing God's amazing opportunities in their life. Together, let's open our hearts and eyes to the ways God is working around us every day and be faithful in embracing the opportunities He provides. Share this message with others who might need encouragement to recognize the divine moments already in their lives.